Alright, welcome back. I am Lumerion, and today we are covering yet another product from
FAAEAL.
Yep, FAAEAL is back with, I guess in this case, an ultra budget product, which is this FAAEAL Poppy. No anime waifu on the box this time, but I mean, you know how much I love microdrivers, so this thing having a very approachable price, I just had to get this in for review. So let's see if FAAEAL have improved from the Hibiscus days in this review of the FAAEAL Poppy. Alright, so we've got what seems to be a pretty standard, cardboard box. Probably like a white outer sleeve, but it's got the picture of the poppy in the front, the FAAEAL logo. I'm pretty sure this thing did not get legit high-res audio certification, but hey, maybe it is. No, it's not. This is some damaging, I guess. The guys who shipped this were very cavalier with their handling. On the side, you got another logo and all that. In the back is the specifications for the FAAEAL Poppy, as usual. So, sliding out the pack, it's a little hard due to the damage on the packaging. You have the inner box, and it's actually dual tone. Like the outside is black, but the inside is red. Interesting. So on that top box is gonna be your carrying case, and man, if there's anything FAAEAL knows how to do, it's accessories. Like this is like a really nice looking case. First of all, like it's got this semi-leather look. The color is like gray but slightly yellowish, but it does look quite good actually and tasteful. This is like a proper like solid case, and it's got quite plenty of space in here. Also a net on the side for you to put like your accessories in. I really like this as much as I like other FAAEAL like carrying cases. This is a really nice case. I like it. Like damn, this case alone, I probably pay like $2-3 for this. So you have to imagine that the Poppy itself, it probably is like, it costs like maybe $7 or something. Along with like the tips and the accessories and all that stuff. So yeah, this thing is really nice and premium for the price you pay for the whole package. Alright, so you get two equally generic ear tip types for the FAAEAL Poppy. On the one hand, you have these smoky and red stem tips. They have a slightly stiffer stem. And on the other hand, you have these generic silicones with a white stem. Oh, and of course, how could you forget? They also give you a shirt clip, which, again, I don't use, but actually, this time, due to the thinner wires of the FAAEAL Poppy, it actually fits the wire, and you can technically use this shirt clip. Why you would use it, I don't know, but there you go. Oh, and I just realized the the catchphrase for the FAAEAL brand is "Redefine the listening," and they also make the same mistake on the back. Let me see. Again on the side, "Redefine the listening." It's also on the big box, bro. Redefine the listening. Really? You couldn't spell check your own logo? Come on, man. Oh, FAAEAL is actually being quite fancy with how they wrap their Poppy. Like they put the two housings in like these small Ziploc bags to stop it from scratching. Again, that's really nice. A bit of attention detail on FAAEAL's end here. I like it. I like this. You just gotta give credit to FAAEAL here. regardless of the product's actual quality, and I guess discounting the typo on the packaging. The unboxing and accessories for their offerings have always put other brands to shame. For like $10, you're getting an IEM, a very nice hard carrying case, 2 types of ear tips, and a shirt clip. Even little things like the thing that I won't say on YouTube because I might get demonetized, and things like putting the housings into the 2 little Ziploc bags to separate them from scratching each other. It shows that you can still make a fully featured audio package that feels premium even on a minuscule price tag. Bravo, FAAEAL. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Alright, so here's the FAAEAL Poppy. It's got a standard sort of bullet form factor with a shiny, glossy metal look, which reminds me of the likes of like the final E3000 and the Moondrop spaceship. It's probably gonna become scratched up with use, but shouldn't look too bad. The Poppy is quite small in size, but it still feels hefty when holding. On your ears, it is light and quite a comfortable set to wear, so long listening sessions shouldn't be a problem. So the cable on the FAAEAL Poppy, it's actually quite similar, if not almost identical to the cable from the Moondrop Quarks, as you can see. There is a difference though. The Poppy's cable, it actually feels softer and more supple than the Quarks cable. Though I have heard that the Quarks cable does have variances in different units, so your mileage may vary. Another similar aspect for that is the headphone jack here. As you can see, it looks kind of like the same jack, but for the Poppy's jack, they have a metal jacket that slipped onto it. You can even see a similar style of strain relief as well. The difference is also the FAAEAL Poppy's jack does include this thing which I won't say out loud because it'll get me demonetized, if I'm any monetized at all. The Y splitter is more conventional though. It opts for a standard sort of metal cylinder design. I do wish that we got a chin slider to go with the Poppy, but oh well. So the Poppy has a very warm, kind of even dark sound, definitely geared towards an easy listening type of tuning. So my V20, LG V20 is more suited for it, giving some needed clarity on the high end, whereas the warmth of the X150 paired with the Poppy makes it a little too veiled. As for ear tips, the Poppy's sound doesn't change drastically or noticeably with tip rolling, so just use something comfortable for you. It's got a standard size nozzle which my crappy ruler measures in at about 4.5 millimeters, so you can use pretty much whatever tips and it'll work. I will be using these medium-sized Moondrop spring tips because they're pretty soft and comfortable for my ears, but again, use whatever works for you. And with that out of the way, let's get into the review of the FAAEAL Poppy. The FAAEAL Poppy has a warm, thick sound that works well for extended listening sessions. It's a very enveloping type of sound signature that tries to utilize to the best of this budget hardware's ability. So starting with the bass. For its diminutive size and stature, the Poppy's bass is a slammer. A very encompassing low end that doesn't exhibit the micro driver weakness of high distortion. There's more mid bass than sub bass here, but it does create good rumble and force, being impactful and visceral without being overbearingly so. The bass detail is quite alright actually for being $10, and although there are some pitfalls, being like the bleed into the mids, and although the bass itself does not distort, it does affect the treble, as we will get to later. For the mids, with such a tilted bass, the Poppy's mid-range had to take a hit. Though it's not that bad. The timbre of this mid-range is a little thick, adding to the warmth of the sound, and this mid-range implementation is smooth, albeit somewhat recessed. This mid-range makes the Poppy play well with most genres of music, and lets you go through long listening times without feeling fatigue. The shortcomings shine through with intensive tracks though, where the smoothed out tuning and the lacking of details start clumping musical elements together. Though again, for the price, it's quite alright. The Poppy has a very reserved and pulled-back treble, to the point where it kind of starts lacking air and clarity. Instruments like cymbals still retain their splash, even if it's a little short and maybe dry sounding. Luckily, it doesn't have any annoying resonance peaks, and when taken as a whole with the sound signature that the Poppy is going for, it presents a non-fatiguing treble that plays well with the warm sound. But now this is the problem child of the FAAEAL Poppy. It exhibits ringing when played at higher volumes, a common fault with microdrivers. Having said that, it still handles it better than, say, the Moondrop Spaceship, which had very annoying ringing. Here, it's a mild distortion that you can sort of live with. The Poppy also generates enough volume before exhibiting ringing, whereas the Spaceship would start having ringing problems even at moderate volumes. With its enveloping sound, the FAAEAL Poppy has quite a narrow soundstage. It's not to the point of being suffocating, but it's rather just quite focused. Vocals, they take like a center staging, whilst the other instruments are more spread out to the two sides, which helps alleviate the narrow stage a little bit. Soundstage height is non-existent, as to be expected of a product in this tier. Technicalities though is where the Poppy kinda drops the ball. Detail retrieval and resolution is okay for the little amount of money that you paid for it, but compared to even cheap KZs that are just a little bit more expensive, it is outclassed. Imaging is two-dimensional, and this driver doesn't do a good job of portraying the texture of musical elements. Again, for a tenor, you can't really rag on this thing too much in this department. Okay, so between the FAAEAL Poppy and the Moondrop Quarks, in terms of build quality, the Poppy shows the Quarks how it's done. It's playing in the same budget range, but the Poppy manages to be about a $5 or less and still has the better build. It's featuring a similar cable assembly, but more supple, and a housing that is made of metal instead of the Quarks plastic casing. You could argue that the transparent looking Quarks is more geeky, nerdy, and kind of unique looking, but the Poppy wins in looking more premium. And, for this price, it doesn't hurt to look a little bit nice. Sound-wise, the Quarks take the win. Whilst for tuning, these two play to different crowds. The Quarks presenting like an entry to the Moondrop VDSF signature with clean mids, and the Poppy with its lush, warm, slightly dark sound. But the Quarks edges out in technicalities, where it doesn't have the ringing issues that the Poppy exhibits. Even though the Quarks win in this comparison, the gap in difference is close enough that I would still put the Poppy not as an inferior product, but rather an alternative. So between the FAAEAL Poppy and the Blon Mini, for build quality, the Poppy and the Blon Mini are actually quite similar. They both feature metal build, though the Blon does feel a bit heftier, but the Poppy looks more aesthetically appealing, not having the seams of the Blon BL Mini. I think the Poppy still wins here because it manages to match the build of the Mini at a lower price and also includes more accessories, as has been covered. So reviewer Z-Pult says that the Poppy is very close sounding to the Blon Mini, and I would concur. However, it's the little differences here that make me prefer the FAAEAL Poppy over the Blon Mini. The Blon's bass is a lot more aggressive, yet it is also kind of low quality, sort of outing its lacking detail to the listener. Whilst the Poppy, it doesn't hit as hard, but has a softer and easygoing texture. The highs of the Blon Mini also has a weird shrillness that makes its muted highs also weirdly intrusive, whilst the Poppy stays in its lane and presents a non-fatiguing treble. The Blon's tuning feels like it's making up for its weaknesses by adding more decibels, like that has ever worked. Whereas the Poppy is a practice in restraint, something the Blon lacks, and it avoids those pitfalls. So yeah, go with the FAAEAL Poppy over the Blon Mini. It's cheaper and doesn't have the weirdness of the Blon Mini, both in terms of sound and, the Blon Mini's unconventional shape as opposed to the Poppy's traditional bullet form. Between the FAAEAL Poppy and the FAAEAL Hibiscus, build quality is a slight win for the Hibiscus, as its cable edges out the Poppy's, being an impressive included cable in its release and to an extent up till now. But sound-wise, the Poppy I think is what the Hibiscus should have been. The Hibiscus' wonky, mid-centric, semi-bright tuning is quite a contrast to the Poppy's warmth and lushness. But where the Hibiscus kind of flops on the floor with the hollow mid-range, the Poppy has a more impactful bass despite the smaller driver size, and a recessed but easygoing mid-range that complements its sound signature. Technicalities on the Hibiscus is better, but I still prefer the Poppy because it's much more enjoyable to listen to compared to the Hibiscus with its gimmicky sound. Well, after the Hibiscus, I really thought that FAAEAL just doesn't know how to make nice sounding IEMs, but thankfully, I have been proven wrong. At $10, the Poppy manages to stick it to other manufacturers on how to provide the consumer with a premium unboxing experience even at very low prices. And they still produced a decent IM along the way. Sure, the Poppy has some weaknesses it can't surpass due to being a microdriver, but the low price really does give it somewhat of a valid excuse. Its lax tuning is nicely done, its build is decent, and should you not like it, you still get a ton of stuff and accessories to use for your preferred IEM. Suffice it to say, there's little to complain and a lot to gain in giving the FAAEAL Poppy a shot. The FAAEAL Poppy has a warm, thick sound that works well for extended Alright, we have reached the end of yet another review. If you like this review, then please like the video. If you have something you want to ask or an inquiry or just, want to put your thoughts out, you can always comment on the video. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe. I will be going on, vacation for 2 weeks, but after that, we will be back with more content, of course. Otherwise, I also have a Patreon if you so want to donate. But if nothing else, then I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. This is Lumerion signing out.